and welcome to the Super Rugby Cymru pod. Just the two of us again this week. I'm joined by Bookie John Harris. How's things, John?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Been a quick week.
Yeah, it's I think it's one of those, and it comes around very quickly, especially when you have your Thursday games, because everything feels more condensed. You know, you're talking about the rugby from a Wednesday nights and team news, Thursday games, Saturday
Mm.
games. Next thing you know, you're back around and talking about it on the next Wednesday. But lots of rugby to talk about. I think anybody who's listening in, Martin's not with us. We've kicked him off the pod because we thought his performance last week was shoddy, turning up late to the party courtesy of oven chips.
Yeah. And he just keeps picking his own team every week, so in his predictions, and I just can't stand people who do that. So,
Yeah, 100%, John. You know, back your team with integrity, innit, John? At least, you know, honest predictions.
yeah.
But we'll start in from last Thursday's game, and a good one for you, John, is we said about the try scorer stakes on the old bookies
Yeah.
odds, 9-1 with Ian Morris. Ian's old man must heard that, stuck a tenner on him at 9-1, and he
Oh,
scored
nice.
first.
There we are. Right, well, when I see him, mine's a lager, mate.
Yeah,
You're welcome. But yeah, it
Pumpy.
just makes sense, doesn't it? If you're going to Ebbw at home, go for the hooker as first try scorer, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly. So Pumpy, you owe John a pint of your finest beer. But I'll be honest, I think this is no. I think we all saw a good game going here, and it was a pretty good game. I'll be honest.
Hmm.
Yes, the red card exasperated the gap a little bit, and we'll talk about that shortly. But I'll be honest, it's what we sort of wanted. That first 55 minutes was both sides back and forth, back and forth. Nobody really getting too far ahead. You know, nobody putting a stamp on a game, pardon the pun, and we'll get to that in a little bit, but nobody really laying down to say, right, this is my game and I'm going to the top of the table. Yeah, I thought
Hmm.
Blandivary were much better at slowing the ball down and sort of disrupting Ebbw. I thought both sides had a bit of success around the maul when they got it going. The
Hmm.
scrums we expected, I think, with two young Scarlets props on, was sort of slightly in favour of Ebbw. But
Hmm.
a bit of a silly red card, really, from Corey Baldwin stamping on Evan Lloyd, and it changes the
Yeah.
game. Like the momentum in that second half, you're playing towards the clubhouse, the crowd were into the game, and you just felt that Ebbw just needed that. Cut those mistakes, you know, early doors. Dorian Jones missed, you know, he's up over 85% accuracy off the tee this season, and he's missed two kicks out of hand to touch, and those mistakes were just allowing Llandovery to, you know, easy exit and get up field.
Hmm.
Once they sort of cut those mistakes down, put a stranglehold on the game, the more started getting in. Christ, the replacement hooker scored, which now means Ebbw have had tries from three different hookers this season already, and yeah, that was sort of it. Some great running rugby. 6 tries, three from the backs, three from the forwards.
Hmm.
And like I said, 24 points. You can't ask any more from that, can you, if you're Jason Strange?
Oh, God, no. So, another 6-pointer, this against what's historically been the best team in the league for the last 3, 4 seasons. Yeah, I think that red card was more. It was just more a silly frustration thing. You could see his leg was being held, and he's just lashed out. And the second he's done it, you can see he knows he's effed up massively, and he's regretted it the second he's done it. So I don't think it's like villainize him too much. It was just a stupid frustration. But yeah, there's also it's got to be a red card as well. You can't, no matter what the situation is, you stamp on someone's head, you're going to leave the field. Yeah, I think what you said about the scrums though is I was a bit surprised. I expected a little bit more from Llandovery, even though, like you said, it's two young props, and Ebbw probably got one of, if not the strongest scrum in the league. But this is what you want though from these young props coming in. This is why I think it's so important for especially props to play in this league, because
Yeah.
you want to send them to places like Ebbw on a cold Thursday night and see how they cope. So you're going to learn a hell of a lot more doing that than you are scrummaging in some barn somewhere. against other young props.
Yeah.
Go up Ebbw Hill and see how you do.
Do you know
So
what? I think it was Josh Turnbull mentioned that on comms. I think
mm,
he said about it doesn't matter about the result. And this was early doors. This is 20 minutes in, so the game wasn't decided at all. And he said, doesn't matter whether they lose tonight or whether those boys have a tanking up front. And they were struggling a bit at the scrum at the time. He said
mm,
they'll learn more from that experience than they would
mm.
just training, going through the motions. So like you say,
Oh, yeah.
it's such an invaluable insight. As much as people have a bit of a laugh and a joke around who's dropping in for certain teams and how many and when.
Mm,
Is they all have a purpose, and ultimately, like I said, two young props. Yes, they went off in the end, but I thought they had some good work rates around the park. Gabe Hawley, I thought had a really good game. I'll be honest. Like you said, they'll learn a lot from that
yeah.
and pick it up. And I think that's what Euros Evans has been going with this season. He's got a lot of youth in there. He's been having 7, 8 Scarlets. I think it might be 9 in there for this coming week's game. So it's
Mm,
you can see where Landovery is sitting in terms of that development program.
mm. That can also be help or hinder. It can disrupt you as well when you've got so many coming in. But this depends how you want to use. I suppose this league's supposed to be for these young boys to get this game time. And I was talking to Paul James not so long ago about Dylan and saying, this is what these young boys and especially props, I think is so important because we're so short on props in Wales in general. Like this is where the young props need to be playing, and this is what they need to be doing. Go into these, horrible scrummaging clubs and getting a tune in because they're going to learn from it more than they will in these warm barns against yeah. So I think it's brilliant. So they don't be too disappointed. That's what you're going to hope as well. You don't get, oh my god, what the hell's happened? It's like, no, this is why you're here. Like this is where you're going to learn.
Yeah. Talk about learning from tune-ins, John. Nice little segue into Aberavon's game, isn't
Oh,
it? I think you had a day on the beers, as another one
yeah,
makes an appearance.
it was more of a jolly than it was an actual taking notes with a pen and paper. I'll be honest, but I was I was well lubricated by the time we got to the game. Well, not too bad actually. I've been worse, but but I went there with as I said to you before we were chatting before we come on to borrow a line from Jamie off the Dragon's Lair. It is the hope that kills you, and I was going there with a lot of hope. It was I thought we had a pretty decent start to the year. All right, Cardiff is not a happy hunting ground for us in recent years. Once upon a time, but at the moment they have got a number lately, especially at that cap as well. It, it was as soon as the game started, though. It was now 12 minutes in. Cardiff have scored 3 tries, and so you're playing catch up straight away. The positives, the Aberavon scrum was a lot better this week. Set piece was very good. And for the rest of that second half, though, from the 12th minute onwards, they dominated that half and worked so hard to get themselves back into the game. But it was points were harder to come by, I think, than what Cardiff were finding them. Like when Cardiff had a 12-minute dominance, they scored 3 tries out of it. Then we go half an hour and got 2 tries out of it. Worked so hard to get back to 19 all, 2 minutes before half time. And I thought, right, just keep the ball, get to half time now, 19 all. Don't concede straight from the kickoff. And they conceded straight from the kickoff. The exits, I think, is something that needs working on. Because they took the ball great, but the box kick weren't too bad. The chase was good, but I think Fergus Gilbert overran it a little bit because he got there. He could have made a really, but I think he got there so fast. So he just kind of went almost overshot making the tackle then, and then we're going in a score down. And again, second half there was a few Cardiff tries scored off our mistakes again. I think there was some drop balls that led to a try. Bit of overplaying, and the thing is, when you make those mistakes against Cardiff, they will pounce on them, and I thought that's what Cardiff were excellent at on Saturday, was the transitions from defence to attack. As soon as that ball was spilled or it popped up, and it was like they knew what they were going to do straight away, and a few individual moments of brilliance as well. Even the props got in on it by the end of the end of the game with a lovely try they scored. But it's game management again. They seem to be saying every week, we're not playing smart, and the effort is there. You can't fault the effort, and you can see the boys. The boys were very annoyed on the pitch, but Cardiff looked much better too as well. That's not taking anything away from them. They were, their defence was good, and they were just lethal when they got any kind of sniff of scoring a try. But I think if we can cut, again, like you were saying, about what Ebbw did manage to do, cut the errors out, cut the mistakes out, play a bit smarter, they're going to be in more games and with a 10 to go, or winning more games than they'll be losing. So I was disappointed that they didn't come away with anything, because, well, they got a bonus point, but I was hoping for 2, but then it just got away from them at the end.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is what you want to try and take away from the game. If you can get something, it's better than nothing. I think because of this, the extra bonus point, the way that clubs are approaching seeing out games can differ now, as applied to 2 years ago, where a few penalties may have been kicked in, and you're trading blows, where now teams know they have to go for it. But as you say, is that sort of those key moments, like you said, the restarts, and the exits, as a coach killer. Whether you're conceding a penalty and it's 3 points, or there's 5 or 7 off a try, you've got to deal with your exits. You've got to take the restart and get it out, because I always see it. Teams will go in and defending, there's a knock on, or they kick it into touch, straight, for opposition line out. But you're defending a set piece then, and unless you really are world beaters at a set piece, ultimately there's going to put a bit of pressure on it, because it gives them attacking platform. And as you say, somebody like Cardiff, I don't know what it is, they can just turn it on that cat pitch. Its familiarity is the surface. It works with the players they've got. Is Matty Young back in the squad at full back? I think he was looking really, really good. Players like Derry Cross getting in there, Joe Goodchild. You're ever reliable. Your players with bags of pace, knowledge, and just know how to get to that try line. And that is the thing, is, like you said, they can just go, bam, hang on a minute, we're 3 tries down inside quarter of an hour by it, and all of a sudden, as much as you've got a game back at one stage to level peggings, or, even within a score at half time, it feels like that's the game gone. You have to expend so much energy to come back into it. I mean, the final result is 45-26. And we said it before going on air, it sort of feels that it's a bit disappointing after Abraham's first couple of games, where, like you said, you played Ebbw, lost away, disappointed there, but bit of context, I guess, around who they are and where it was. Then you beat Newport at home, you beat Bridgend at the Brewery Field, and you're thinking, oh, okay, here we go. And just the last couple of...
reverse fixture now. That'll be 3 on a bounce, going to Cardiff then, when they are not firing on all cylinders with confidence. But then, take that Bridgend game at home then.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but I guess the only good thing is you are in 8th, which is not a good thing, but you're on 11 points. Swansea in 3rd are only on 16. So, I mean, that's a regulation win, 4 points, puts you into 3rd. So, I mean, a 6-pointer at this stage of the game could literally divide everybody, even if you said Cardiff won their game with a bonus point. That's only 19. That's 19 points. So that's still only 8 points to 3rd. Because Cardiff will move up to 3rd. Well,
that's why the Bridgend game at home was so annoying, because that would have been that win then. That would have
exactly, and that's the little margins, because I do feel that, and this result sort of typifies it, is that Aberravon at home are a very different animal. It feels like the set piece and the pack become that god level. Set piece and pack. They are one of the most difficult to beat. But when they're on the road, there just seems to be soft spots in that areas. And, the game management is like they panic and don't know how to see out these sort of games. And ultimately, we all know the playoff system covers all 10 teams. It'll be 6 versus 10. Sorry, 7 versus 10, 8 versus 9. You got to get out of that bottom 4 to guarantee yourself a home quarterfinal. Because otherwise, yes, Aberravon at the moment would be playing RGC at home, for example, if the table stayed as it was. But then you might have to travel away then to a top class team, and all of a sudden you've got 3 away games to win a title. And with the greatest respect, we said about how Aberravon put games together. One, this is a reason why teams want to go on a streak, because if you can't win 3 games, you can't win the league. Because ultimately, even if you finish top 6, there's quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals to go. But I can't see a side like Aberravon at the moment going away to an Ebbw or Llandovery, beating them, then beating 3 top 6 teams. So it'd be interesting to see, like you say, if they can just cut the mistakes down. It's still a young squad. Is it 22 years of age across the board? And just build a bit of a momentum, because it is a close table. We could literally be sitting down this time next week saying Aberravon are in the top 4 now. They're looking better again, and that's how it goes. So it is a very much a confidence thing. But I think one side that's lacking confidence at the side is Newport. They lost 28-26 to Carmarthen Quins, thanks to a last-minute touchline conversion on a try that, I'll be honest, didn't look like it was coming. It's one of those. Quins hadn't scored in the previous 2 second halves. So they go in and you think, right, Newport to get that score, go ahead, and you go 26-21, surely that's it. Jack Lloyd misses the conversion. You think, we're pretty much, time is up. I know it says like 80 plus 6 on the Twitter, but time isn't officially up at that point. But Quins have come back, and this is a bit of a, not a scrappy game for player quality, but unfortunately there was 3 Newport players down with blood injuries at one stage. I think James Noonian is out long term with suspected broken leg. So all the best to James with that one. And it's you could tell the second half dissipated slightly around those injuries and stuff like that. But Quins are looking solid, I'll be honest.
Really decent.
Like, I know Martin was trying to delve into their Scarlets allocation, wondering who was going to go to South Africa, etc. I think they had a pretty good allocation in the end, a solid squad. And then on the other hand, you've got Newport who have their solid allocation, but they just can't seem to gel. And I'll be honest, and I said it on the pod, that back line for me, the Newport back line, was the most settled they've had, the best quality back line this season, and was probably a Lloyd Lewis away from being full strength, realistically. So where do you go at the moment if you're Ty Morris and Newport? But also, if you're Steph Thomas and Quins, looking at it from the other perspective, you're sitting in 4th, with a bit of a young squad.
Yeah, this is I'm chuffed for Carmarthen Quins, to be honest, because I think they've been, them and Swansea have been the proper surprise of this season. Well, Carmarthen not so much, because I think before the season started, there was you and a few people talking about Carmarthen being ones to watch for this season. But as well as frustrated as I'm feeling with Aberravon start, you've got to be wondering what Newport are thinking, because this is the reigning champions. They haven't won a game yet. I'd love to know what the odds of the bookies would have given for Newport losing the first 5 games. It would have been astronomical. But I thought Carmarthen looked so good from what I've seen of them. Scrum going very well. They fought the pick and goes were looking strong, and Reece Fawcett scoring a cracking try from short range, because he's such a big man to stop. I do like Reece Fawcett.
Yeah.
But they're looking sharp as well, Carmarthen. They're really playing some lovely stuff, and they're staying in games, that's what you've got to do, especially I think for where they finished last year. that's what you've got to be thinking. What I was thinking as well with that run, you've got right, win your home games and then try and stay in the other games as long as you can. Especially when you play the big sides, just stay in the game, give yourself a chance going into that last 10. And they've stayed in it, and they've kept, there's a bit more dog about them this year. They're not going away, and the conversion to win that to the death was amazing. I mean, I'll be honest, when I seen it on the highlights, I thought he'd way missed it, but I think it was just must have been the angle of the camera, because it looked like it went way past. But what a conversion to win that and get the 5 points out of it as well.
Yeah.
And it's them and Swansea is opening this league right up this season, because they're picking off some big names. And aside from Ebbw, who just seem to be walking away with it, and Llandovery not far behind, from third down at the moment, it could be anyone beating anyone. So they'll be very, very happy with how their season started, and where Newport go from here, I don't know, because they've got to win. Well, I keep thinking this every week, though. Well, they've got to win the next game, surely, because it's Newport. They're going to win soon. So when is it coming, though?
Well, that's just it. So this was the first time since 1974 that Newport had lost their opening 5 league games. And looking back over the stats, I can't actually find a time where they've lost 6 in history. And this is their 151st year. You know what I mean? So that's the magnitude of how big a poor start this is from Newport.
Yeah.
But I said,
it's not like the weak Newport side, it's the defending champions.
Exactly. I thought, Barney Lanton Cryer back in the second row. I thought, players like that just sometimes give them a bit of grunt, a bit of spark. Ben Roach was back as well. We'd be mentioning about him. All the sort of the plus points were there. But as you say, Quins this season, I think there was a question mark over potential fitness in that last quarter after the first few games, but they're starting to ease into that. So maybe they are hitting match fitness stride now. But also, I think the game management last year, and Steph Thomas said at the start of the season, we were losing too many games in the last quarter. 60 to 80 minutes, we were in a good position and either lost the game or threw it away. But you can see they're in games now. They are controlling it. Yes, they've had a couple of tough second halves against Pontypool recently, but this is one of those ones. Some young players, especially at halfback. Ellis Price at fly half has been absolutely superb, I'll be honest. I mean, you can see he's a young, raw talent at 10. He doesn't have that ultimate control that that a senior 10 usually has. But he has that raw energy for him. And like you said, he can kick well. He's still getting the points. He's ticking them over. Like you say, 4 tries, 4 conversions. And like you said, it puts them into fourth spot, 16 points. So yeah, 100%. This is a fantastic start from Quins. And like you said, I think it'll be a little bit of a surprise. You mentioned it's not as much as a surprise as Swansea. They've had a 38-31 win on the road to RGC. I know I went RGC with this, saying that Swansea couldn't quite score that many points on the road. I mean, they have, and I'll be honest, I'm in two minds. I think it's great to see Swansea again nailing this attack in rugby. Josh Phillips is the first man over 50 points this season. And it's one of those. It's good to see them taking those opportunities, generating the chances, finishing them off, because you do need 30 points now to win a game. Ultimately, 30 points less than 30 points would have only have won you one game this week. The other games, 45, 43, 38 and 40. So if you're not pushing north of 35 points, you're not consistently winning. And that's what I think is great to see. Is, like I said, Swansea kicked on now. Like I said, they lost their opening 2 fixtures, and everyone was sort of going, well, is this Swansea of last season where close but no cigar? They lost to Pontypool, and we didn't really know how it was going to look in round 1, and thought, we'll give them a chance. The double over Newport. They've done another 1 year. It's nearly 6 years. January 2019 was the last time they've won 4 on the bounce. But they look really good. But the only thing I take out of this game is yet again we've said RGC cannot defend at home. Like the only win that they've got is on the road. This is supposed to be their own backyard. They get healthy crowds that back their team. It's a nice surface. It develops good running rugby. They should be used to it. They train on it. They got the barn, etc. But you can't win a game of rugby if you're conceding 38 points of rugby, and that's been the story for them right all season.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It is a bit of a running theme with RGC, isn't it? They can score points, but they can't defend, and that's why I picked Swansea last week, because I thought they've been scoring points. They went up, to Llandudno as well and scored over 30 points.
Yeah.
And that was my simple, dumb logic then. Well, if they could score that many points at Llandudno, they could definitely score them in RGC. Just keeping it simple, but it's worked for my predictions. I'm really happy to see it, though, because Swansea, no disrespect to them, have been so poor for a few seasons now, and that's not where they should be. This is Swansea Rugby Club. Like, they should be sniffing around the top half of a Welsh table, and so I'm really glad to see that they look like they are coming back. I think they've been, when you take everything into account, they've probably been, them and Ebbw, the best team in the league, like considering where they were last season and season before. Like, the improvement is unbelievable. The big fullback is looking so dangerous. I think I've seen a stat that he's beaten more defenders than anyone in the SRC this season. He just looks so dangerous every time he's got the ball, and he's such a big man. They look so nice to watch as well. They play some really, really lovely rugby, and they seem to have developed a bit of steel up front as well now, which they were lacking last season. I think it was too easy last year to overpower Swansea, and that's not happening this year. And because they were scoring great tries last year as well, but they weren't really fronting up. But they seem to have put that right this year, and they've had that's 3 wins now, out of 5.
Yep.
I think if you'd have given that to them at the start of the season, they'd have taken it 3 out of 5 and 2 points from Llandudno, 2 bonus points away at Llandudno. They'd have bitten your hand off for that. I think they might actually even be a little bit disappointed they didn't start a bit better in that first game against Pontypool. But great for them, and it's opened the table up so much this year. From 3rd to 10th now could be anyone's game this season. That's what we want to see. Like, anyone could beat anyone at the moment. You don't know. This was a banker last year. No disrespect to Swansea, but it was. If you were playing Swansea, you think, right, well, we got Swansea twice in a row, so there's 10 points for us. But it's clearly not now this season. And that's what you want. You want to go in when we got our predictions. They're getting harder and harder to predict every week, and I'm loving it. But RGC, this is, like I said, they've got to sort out. They are leaking so many tries and points, and unless you're confident you're going to go and score 40, 50 in a game, you just can't. They've got to sort this out.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem. Is I think it's constant turnover as well, not only of players but of the coaching staff. You need to just find that team that works with you, and that's going to be John Callard's biggest thing, is finding that structure that works for them, because it's been the same now for several years. But as you say, it's great to see Swansea actually developing on. I think, along with the news that Pontypridd were potentially interested in joining, should they be in the right financial place come the end of next season when the licenses open back up. It just goes to show that this league does work in what it does. It pushes teams on, work into a budget, a set budget. Everyone's along the same level. You can spend as far as you want under it, but most teams will be spending around it or slash up to it.
Yeah.
And as you say, it's great to see a team finally making that leap. Quins, Swansea, both doing that jump. No doubt we'll see Cardiff and Newport hit a bit of stride and start moving up the table as well. But
Mm.
it's great to see, as you say, basically everyone can beat everyone sort of competition. That
Yeah.
everyone's jumping above each other because the points are so close, and that's where the extra
Mm.
bonus points come in handy. And I think at the moment Swansea are in that position where they'd be happy with 5 points.
Mm.
Like they're not
So
too
they've
like
won half the games already that they won last season. You know, it was
yeah.
them come on, they won like 5, 6 wins for the whole of last season, and they both won 3 already at the first 5 games. Brilliant.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what you want. You want to see that development because ultimately, as you say, it breeds the winning culture. It gives you confidence in the players. From the Ospreys' perspective, they've got another development area that they can put players into and sort of
Mm.
utilize there. And it's just like I said, they'll be happy with these 5 pointers every week. They're not in a position for 6 pointers. I'm not saying that they won't be kicking on and trying to get those, but they're one of the
Mm.
few teams that at the moment they get 5 points. You go, oh boys, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So especially when you're doing it on your longest road trip of the year, tick him off. But
Mm.
the final game from last week, Pontypool 43, Bridgend 10. I know quite a few people gone down to this one. I've watched him back, and it's a bit of a weird one. The scoreline doesn't reflect this game. It's not a 33-point gap, and that's not because Bridgend were really good and Pontypool were really crap. It was a bit of a turgid affair, I'll be honest. Bridgend had a lot of possession, but couldn't convert into points. And Pontypool were deadly at finishing off those turnovers and getting over. Mikey
Mm.
Herbert back in the squad had a really good game. Morgan Allen back in the squad had a solid cameo for 20 minutes. But ultimately, they just went a bit better, Pontypool, up front. I think Bridgend were really soft for the first time this year. Consistently over 80 minutes, they were really soft and never made an impact on the opposition pack, which is good news for Pontypool because I've said their front row is still an issue, but less so after a 6 point win. I think passing along the line was quite poor. There must have been 15, 20 balls went behind the man across the floor. That sort of accuracy just wasn't there. And yes, the
Mm.
weather wasn't overly great, I'll be honest, but you'd expect a little bit more, especially from a side in a comfortable winning position as Pontypool.
Mm.
I think there's a couple of linchpin areas that they're struggling with. So Morgan Lloyd's finished the game at 10 because Kieran Meek went off injured. And Carrot McDonough, who started at full back, had gone off with a nasty looking shoulder injury. So there's a bit of playing around. I don't think they've got the depth in the front row, but that's possibly getting there after this week. But also that 9, especially if the Dragons call Morgan Lloyd back, midfield combo 9-10 could be some crucial areas. But Pontypool, I guess this is the first time this season we've seen them turn up a bit of a heat. Their
Mm.
first 6 pointer after 2 4 point wins in 4 games. Bridgend, though, disappointing after their start of the season that they haven't really kicked on. A bit like Aberravon, I guess, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost identical, yeah, because they started really well, and that's what I was thinking that they could have gone up there and done a job, especially after was it RGC went up to
Yeah,
Pontypool. It was, wasn't it?
round
That
2.
surprised me. So unless that just pissed Pontypool off, I don't know. Yeah, watching some of the scores, it looked like Bridgend trying to play a lot as well from their own 22, and then getting turned over. Um, and Pontypool have just similar to the Aberravon and Cardiff game, they've made them pay. Um, it, that's what I thought. Like you just said, they were out muscled. Probably for first time this year because that's been a big improvement. Like a bit like Swansea, their pack was a weakness last year, but they've seemed to have sorted it out a bit this year. But it was um, back to normal in this one, and it just seemed like it was from what I saw, just Pontypool just too physically strong in this one, and when they've got their chances, they've pounced on them, taken every opportunity that has been coughed up to them, and just put the foot on the throat and just suffocated them out of it. So I think you'll be landed if you Pontypool now to get back on winning ways, and especially with a 6-pointer, because they're not easy to come by 6-point wins. As the Llandovery had won 5 out of 5 games, and they were all 5-pointers. So I mean, Llandovery hadn't even managed to get a 6-point win this season. So, 4 was it? Oh yeah, sorry, 4. So yeah, that if you're Pompey now, you'll be landed with that. You can build on that now going forward. Like, right, forget we're back on track now. We've sorted a lot of things out. Let's kick on from here now. This league is so close this year. String a few results together, we're going to be in that top 4. And Bridgend, I'm really disappointed because I thought they just been playing so well. I think deserved that prediction of going up there and maybe sneaking that one. So they'll have to regroup and watch that back on Monday and Tuesday, whatever, and find out where that's gone wrong. Because I didn't expect, not that I didn't expect them to lose up there, because everyone loses at Pooler Park at some point, but to lose, like I say, 33 points, I would not have seen that coming the way with how well Bridgend have started this season.
Yeah, and I think that's just typifies well, as you said, is a 6-pointer's not easy to come by. When you get them, they're very worthwhile because it can shoot you well up the table if you're someone like Pontypool. But also, it's like I said, we've mentioned already how competitive the league is. From top to bottom, it's only 17 points after 5 rounds. If you turn that into other competition rules where you only get a 5-pointer, well, all of a sudden, Ebbw drop 4 points, for example. So, you know what I mean? It's such a close league. And again, that also goes to show when you get a 6-pointer, just how hard work and how well earned that is, and how you can push on from there. So, yeah, I think it will help Pontypool kick on now, and I think Bridgend will be a bit disappointed with that. So we'll see how they can turn it round on tomorrow evening as we record this.
Oh, yeah.
But if you've got this far, give us a like, subscribe, tell Martin he's a clown, whatever you want to do. Just drop the SRC podcast a follow, and you'll get all the notifications ahead of time from when we post it out on a Thursday morning. Looking to this week's games, I'll skip the Thursday TV game for now, and we go back to Aberavon, John. It's a home game, RGC. Now, we've mentioned RGC struggle on the road. They can't stop conceding points, and Aberavon are a different beast at home. So how much are Aberavon going to win by?
Well, straight away I'm going to call Aberavon win, of course I am. But yeah, that is also down to, like you said, RGC don't travel well. And well, at the moment they don't play all well either, but I digress. Just looking at the head-to-heads, when they do play tag, the last 1, 2, 3, 4. It's been a while since RGC have won at the tag. Going back to 2018, but there's nothing coming up so far. No, I got to go back to March 2018 before RGC last won at the tag, and that was a good RGC side back then. But it was good at Brown side. That was a grand final year. So I'm still going to go Aberavon home win on this one. I think they need another win now, because this is important. Either 3 wins out of 6 or 2 wins out of 6 is a big thing. I think you need to stay around to get in that top 6. At least winning half your games. So you don't want to be slipping back to you've won 2 out of 6. So, but we do tend to play well against RGC as well, both home and away. But more so at home. I don't think there's any massive. I don't think there's too many injury concerns either from what I've seen. So I just think that at home they will have a bit too much. We love that big pitch that we've got and a proper surface, and the crowd will be behind them like they always are. And they they're much better at building a bit of momentum at home, Aberravon. They don't make as many errors because they seem to be more switched on to start the game for a start, so they're not chasing it straight away and making the errors to the same extent. So for me, this is a home win, and I would like to say 6 points, but I don't want to get greedy because, as we just talked about, how difficult they are to come by. So at the moment, I'll take a 4 point win just to get back on winning ways. But I'd like to think at home as well we can come away with a 5 pointer. But no, RGC keep more than capable of scoring 4 tries anywhere, so they could come away with a point too. But Aberravon home win for me.
Now, I know Martin's gone Aberravon. I'll be honest, I'm going Aberravon here as well, because the way I'm seeing it at the moment is, like you said, I think Aberravon have a bit too much nous up front, and a bit, they're going to be able to run and control the game. They just have to be able to manage the tempo, because I think if RGC get into a point swinging battle, there's a risk that this goes to RGC's way and Aberravon end up slipping away. And I think the problem is at this stage is you can't lose the league. Doesn't matter where you finish, right? You can't lose the league in 6 weeks. But what you don't want to be doing is, as I've already mentioned, around the playoffs and home ties, away ties, is slipping away from that pack in the middle, because undoubtedly there will be 3-4 teams at the top that cement themselves as the best in the league. Then you've got that block of 4. And we sort of seen it last year with that 3 or 4 teams, and Aberravon sort of just about got on the coattails of it last year. And you don't want to slip away and be relying on points, which you sort of needed last year. And you pulled out some big wins late in the season to get them. But you want to try and get to that stage. It's a bit like the magic 40-pointer in the Premier League in the football, right? The quicker you can get to that barrier, the quicker you can move on and start looking, right, well, we get a home quarter-final tie, home semi-final tie. Let's make this as comfortable as possible. So, yeah, I think RGC just haven't got enough up front, I'll be honest, this year to deal with a side like Aberravon on a grass surface. So that's a clean sweep of Aberravon wins.
And I did forget to say, of course, the bookies have Aberravon as favourites for this one, 8-15. RGC 11-8, so quite close, mind. It's only a 5-point head start for RGC on the handicap, which is quite small, I would have thought. So I'd be tempted to go Aberravon +5 on that, or -5, sorry. But that's what the bookies think. They think of a 1-score victory or 1-try game.
Interesting. I think it's one of those ones, I think on paper, it reflects a close game. Aberravon 11 points, 2 out of 5 wins. RGC 10 points, 1 win out of 5 games. But I think deep down, at the moment, I don't know, I just don't see Aberravon having that lackluster game in them against an RGC side who, I'll be honest, struggle on grass pitches away. So
I'll be right.
Yeah. Well, we're either all going to be right on this one or all going to be wrong, including the bookies. Down to Cardiff, another home game for them. Pontypool travelling to the Arms Park. Now, we've already mentioned Cardiff have kicked on after a bit of a drubbing against Ebbw. They've got back into it. 6-pointer against Aberravon last week. Gets them into it. Pontypool with a 6-pointer to kickstart them. Now, going on a 3G artificial pitch is completely different to playing on the old turf at Pooler Park. For me, I think this is Cardiff. I think, like as you said about against Aberravon, they get out of the blocks quickly. They have the weaponry to destroy teams. Let's put it frankly. They can get into you and score 3-4 tries very quickly and have that pace to beat you outside. I think they're very up and down this season. 1 minute they're playing really good rugby, the next they're getting annihilated, sort of thing, which is really weird for a Cardiff team. They're a bit more consistent usually, but with Pontypool, I just don't feel they've been. They're probably one of the more consistent sides, right along the middle of the spectrum. They haven't had a really bad game, I'll be honest, but they haven't had a great game either. So it's. I don't think at the moment their team, especially their scrum and their set pieces, playing well enough to combat the Cardiff side, who've got the head boys coming back. Sean Moore's back now. Alan Rees at hooker's back. There's a lot of names there before your likes of Joe Cowell drops in, as he did this week. or your international props as they wanted to do against Ebbw. That's the sort of the talent. Matty Young back at fullback, Debbie Cross is back, from against Aberravon. And I just think that all culminates in just Cardiff being too strong here, I'll be honest.
Oh, I don't know. I'm back up. Is this Cardiff home or is it Pontypool home?
Cardiff home.
Also, because one thing I've got Cardiff v Pontypool, and then the other one's Pontypool v Cardiff. I wasn't sure where it was. But so that's just changed my thing now because I was working off Pontypool being home then. So that's, yeah. I think I agree with you on this one. If you're Pontypool, though, you're gonna be really lifted by that result last week. And looking at the head-to-heads, well, Pontypool have only been back 2 seasons in the top flight, and they've actually won 3 out of the last 4 against Cardiff, but they haven't won at Cap for 2 years now, going back to almost the exact same date, 28th of October 2023, when they run out 16-9 winners. But Cardiff seem to have woke up a bit. And I'm not just going to pick Cardiff because they beat my team, which I'm sure everyone is thinking, oh, here he goes. Oh, they beat Aberravon, they must be going to beat everyone then. And yeah, there is that. But no, but seriously, I think this is going to. That's got potential to be a belter of a game, I think, because that's one thing you're going to get off Pontypool is a flipping scrap. You're going to get.
Oh yeah.
Dog, you're going to have to dig deep. You're going to have to front up. You're going to have to be prepared to have a tune in physically, and then if you can withstand that, I think Cardiff have got enough then to let loose a bit, and they've just got that in them, Cardiff, like you said, to just have a 10-15 minute spell where they can just bang out 2 or 3 tries and suddenly they've taken themselves away, and they could then manage in that gap for the rest of either managing it or adding to it later on as well. So, and especially on the pitch as well, that's going to suit them more than it will Pontypool. So it's a Cardiff win for me as well. The book reflects in the bookies' prices. The Cardiff are the 4-11 favourites, Pontypool 2-1, plus 8 points for Pontypool on the handicap at 10-11. And I think I'd be tempted to go Cardiff -8 on that one personally. I think not ridiculously, maybe not 6 points, but it's probably Cardiff 5 points. 5 points for me.
Another clean sweep because Martin's gone Cardiff as well.
Mm-hmm.
We'll skip to Broadacre, Dunvant. So it's Swansea home to Quins, and another mouth-watering tie. We probably wouldn't have said this 5 weeks ago, but you've got 3rd versus 4th, 2 sides playing some in-form rugby. You've got the slick, silky back line of Swansea, who are still doing the grunt, as you say. They're a very dynamic side this year. I really like. They've added Jacob Hopkins, signed from Ebbw over the summer, and he's been really dynamic at 8. Bowden, as ever, right, the club captain at times, and that sort of stalwart team of the season representative, really, at times for Swansea, up against your really physical sort of Quins pack. Will they be battered and bruised after a really physical game against Newport? Possibly, but with enough weapons, like I said, people like Steph Evans, Gabe McDonald coming in to really hurt the team. And I'll be honest, I know Martin's going he's gone Quins on this one. I'm thinking Swansea. I think Dunvant was out in force last time against Newport. It felt like a real good old-fashioned Swansea game and a really good old-fashioned club rugby game. And I just feel at the moment, Swansea has scored in those points. They're consistent, 80 minutes, start to finish. And they've got enough up front to get into Quins, I'll be honest. I think it is a heavier pitch. And I feel that Quins question mark around the fitness may start to tell. So, yeah, I think there's tries in this one. But yeah, for me, it's Swansea. Which way are you leaning on this one, John? It's the first one that we've got that's split at the moment. I'm Swansea, Martin's Quins.
Well, the bookies reckon this is going to be a very close one. They've got Swansea 4-5 for this one. Kamal and Quins even money with just the 2 point head start for Carmarthen Quins at 10-11. So they're seeing this as a very close one. And yeah, as you say, this is not one at the start of the season. I would be thinking, looking forward to the Swansea Carmarthen game. And that's no disrespect to the two clubs. It's just that you wouldn't. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that at the start of the season you wouldn't be rubbing your hands together, looking forward to this one. Whereas now, I wish this was a live game. To be honest, I would love to see this. The two, they've both been outstanding at the start of the season, but Swansea have strung 3 in a row together now, and I think this is going to be 4. I do. I don't think the home factor would be as strong as it might have been if it was St Helens, because I think given Carmarthen's pitch, I think it's going to be a similar kind of surface that they used to playing on down at Dunvant. And Carmarthen, they have beaten Swansea at Swansea within the last 2 years. Well, nearly 3 years actually, but still. So, but 4 minutes fixture does go to Swansea, surprisingly enough. But for me, like you said, I think Swansea look a very fit team, and I think that might be what just swings it for them in this one. Not to say Carmarthen aren't, but I just think Swansea do like to play a very fast-paced game, and it's suiting them at the moment. And you've got to live with the pace that Swansea want to play the game at the moment. And I think Carmarthen might just struggle with that, like I say, towards the last 20 minutes, even 10 minutes of the game. But I think if this is going to be a close one, and one I would love to go and see if I was able to. So I'm going to go Swansea one, and because Swansea scores so many tries, it's got to be a 5-point win, I'm thinking. But not a 6, I don't think. This is going to be a 1 score, maybe 10 points at the most. But it's going to be a banger, I think.
It's one of those ones. I think we're getting, and every week we seem to say it, but we're having at least 3 games, if not 4 or 5, banging ties where you're going, yeah, this is going to be a bloody good game. And I don't think that's any different for the final Saturday kickoff. Spitty Stadium, Newport versus Ebbw. Good old Gwent derby. Bottom versus top. And in this situation, I think I'd rather be a top, I'd be honest, going into this one. But form goes out the window. And it's, and we said it every time. When does Newport get a win? Does Ebbw get the loss? Does it happen? All of these sort of historical data come in and sort of the figures and the stats that we come up with, but it's such a difficult one to call. I mean, I'm leaning Ebbw on this one. I think we've seen Newport's best side fielded last week. Maybe there'll be some added continuity this week. If they can keep that going. I think there'll be the usual suspects from the Dragons coming in, and whether Obi makes an appearance off the bench as well. It's one of those, you always know they're going to be a stacked lineup for it, but it's going to be such a good quality game. You just know it already. If the weather can hold out, it's always windy down there because it's such an open place. I'll be honest, I don't like Newport Stadium at all. I think it's shit, but it's one of those where you just know the rugby's going to be good. Both teams are going to be fired up for it. There's a hell of a lot of pride on this. Newport already, I don't want to be seeing that gap to ninth growing because ultimately it just becomes so difficult to pull it back after a certain while. And equally, everyone's going to be going, well, hang on, we don't want to let Ebbw go too far ahead because you don't want to be travelling there. Ironically, the only team to have won at Ebbw last year was Newport. But it's one of those. I'm interested to see how this set piece goes, because I think last season, if we look at our final, was the kicking game was massive. And I'm interested to see if Ebbw will go with the dual playmakers again, with Dorian Jones at 10, Evan Lloyd at 15, because Morgan Richards is training, and they've got Morgan Rees, doing a bit of rehab as well. And for those who haven't seen Morgan, Swansea fans will know him because he played for them before going down under, and he was the travelling reserve for the Reds in the Lions game over the summer. So there's a lot of different options that could be coming out here, and just seeing that sort of that maul as well, because I think Ebbw had a bit of success out of it last season, against Newport. But I think Newport also had a bit of, more success. They were one of the few teams that sort of went head to head with Ebbw. It was like, who can do the better maul? It wasn't that one team was getting shut out completely with it. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a proper physical battle. I mean, I think there's both teams, have got some injury issues going into it. But how do you see this one going?
Oh, this is a tough one to call, isn't it? Because I'll see what the bookie say first before I can think of what the hell I'm going to say about it. So the bookies have got Ebbw favourites for this one. Newport are 11-8, Ebbw 8-15, and it's Newport +5 on a handicap. So they are thinking an away win. My head is thinking an away win just because it would be first versus last, undefeated 6 point every game and no wins on the board yet. But like I say, it's a Gwent Derby, all that goes out the window, down the toilet, whatever you want to say. Newport, like you say, have won at Ebbw, so, and just trying to see when Ebbw last won at Newport.
Two seasons ago?
Yeah, November 2023. So, not ages ago. And they won at Newport the season before that as well in 2022. So it's not like they don't know how to do it. And the way they're going, but that's coming back to that. Newport have to win the game at some point, though. They can't, surely Newport are not going to go played 6, lost 6. It just can't happen. They've got to win it. So that's the only thing that's making me want to switch what my brain thinks and say Newport, because they've got to win. There's no other option here. They've got to win this game. But I don't see how they do though, because Ebbw just looked so good this season. And Newport have lost 2 home games already this season. One of them to Swansea, who are massively improved, but Swansea are not Ebbw. So, I don't want to say Newport are going to lose 6 in a row. I really don't, because they've got to win. But I've got form dictates. If Ebbw have won all their games and by 6 points, so I've got to go Ebbw on this one. I've just decided as I'm talking about it, because I don't know how I was going to go with this one, but it's as much as Newport have to win this game. I just think Ebbw are playing so good at the moment. And Newport must be so low on confidence. It's going to be close. I think it is going to be close. It's going to be decided in the last 10 minutes. But I think Ebbw are going to know how to do that. Newport should. It's defending champions and they know how to beat Ebbw. But, see, I'm talking myself out of it again now.
Yeah. Do you want to know who Martin's gone for? Does Martin's prediction help you at all in this?
No. Yes, all right. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go Ebbw. I'm going to go an away win just to mix it up a bit. And yeah, Ebbw, it's going to be a 5-pointer because I think both of these sides are going to score more than 4 tries in this game. It's going to be a good open game, but I just see Ebbw closing it out when it matters.
Well, Martin's gone for Newport, just in case you're swaying late again, yeah. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me
because I don't want them to lose, 6 in a row. It's not good for the league or anyone. I know you probably disagree, but
you've got to make this. The SRC, John, is all about making history, and what better way to do that than make Newport lose 6 games at the start of a season for the very first time? You know what I mean? But yeah, it's one of those, right?
I wouldn't surprise me. I'm still not that I mentioned it, mind. I don't think I've ever brought it up before.
Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be a physical game. And again, I think if people have got a 10 to spend on a first try scorer in that game, again, you're looking Ian Morris or Henry Palmer, right? That's your hookers going, yes, sir, thank you. Let's get a maul going. It's just which hooker do you want to go with? I'll be honest.
Chuck it on every game. You're more than likely going to win more than you lose.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if Wayne does this every week, he's won 90 quid last week. Yeah, he's covered. He's covered until week 10 if he
Yeah,
doesn't win again.
that's exactly. Yeah,
So
it's always going to be around the 9, 10 to 1 mark, so you might as well do it. You could lose a few, you could lose 3 or 4 in a row, and then still win. Not that we encourage gambling, of course, on this podcast, but just saying, if you are.
other alternative betting companies
Yeah,
are available.
yeah.
All that good stuff. But turn our attention to tomorrow's game as we record. Thursday night at Church Bank, 7:30 kickoff. We've got some team news. I'll go through Landovery's first. A few
Oh, yeah,
changes
another
from
game, man.
last
That's what we do.
week. I would have John disappears halfway through the team news and
I
I'm
know.
just talking to myself.
I was halfway out fucking door, man.
So Jamie Hughes at 1, Cam Lewis 2, Gabe Hawley 3, Chris Long and Joe Powell in the second row. Griff Evans, Tian Sparrow comes in to start at 7, Ocean Davis 8. George McDonald starts at 9 over Lee Reese, Johan Hughes 10, Kian Abraham and Tommy Lewis on the wings, Rodri Jones and Adam Warren in midfield, Jack Davis at fullback, Finn Thomas, Josh Morse, Jack Pritchard, Kai Jones, Jordan Evans, Griff Watkins, Steph Jack Jones, and the ever-present Lee Reese on the bench. We've got some early team news courtesy of Scott Baldwin, who sent us the team for Bridgend because it's not out at the time of recording. Ed Howley, Macaulay Rowley, Ben Evans, Ben Burnell, Joseph Gatt, Harvey Nash and Luke Price at your halfbacks. Your back row is Alfie Thomas, Zach O'Driscoll captain in the side with Thomas Jevons at the blind side. Dylan Burrows, Evan Hill, your Ospreys Academy Lockets second row. Harry Olding, Tyler Olding, Nathan Evans up front. And the bench is Alex George, Mark Thomas, Owen Hathrill, James Richards, James Owen, Chris Williams, Fraser Jones, and Lloyd Wilkins. So both teams, I think, are pretty full strength here, I'll be honest. And it's an interesting one. Landovery will want to be bouncing back from this, and obviously a few enforced changes. No news on Corey Baldwin's ban yet, by the way, for anybody listening. Obviously, he was at 13 last week, so they moved a few people around. I'm surprised a bit at Lee Reese, but they've done this against RGC where they played a lot of your experienced players off the bench. And that's not the case this time. It's only Lee Reese that's on the bench. But this is a bounce back. This is a redemption fixture, right? Both teams have had a bit of an hiding. Both have had 40 points put on them this past week. Both conceded 6-pointers. So this is your redemption, right? This is how you show you're a champion. You bouncing back. This is your how you get things done and across a long season. Obviously, the pitch will favour Landovery. 1, because it's their own home, Church Bank, but 2, because it's the artificial surface. But I got to be honest, I think Bridgend need to really, really be careful that they don't have another hide in you. I think that's a very good side. Again, from Aberravon. Jesus Christ, that's because of your background,
I'm
that
in your head, tonight. I'm getting you in, yeah. I'm going to convert you.
it's such a good side from Landovery. And I just think on that surface, with a wounded animal, they are going to be dangerous. Is that something you're thinking along the lines of? I know Martin's gone Landovery as well.
Yeah, it's hard not to, really. I mean, they still top 2, 3 side in the league, and so you pretty much anyone who goes there, I'm going to be thinking Landovery to win this. The bookies think so as well, because this is the biggest handicap of all the games for the weekend. Landovery are 1-12 to win this one. Bridgend 6-1, and an 18 point plus 18 points on the handicap for Bridgend. And I think that's how I see this one going. Although, to be fairness, Bridgend did win the last game between these two sides back in April, although that was at the Brewery Field. They haven't won Church Bank since April 2022. And the last time before that was February 2019. So, this fixture definitely favours Landovery. They've won 5 out of the last 6. back on their own. I think back on their own pitch. They've played well against Ebbw. That's the sending off and things has contributed to that. Getting away from them yet, and so I think it's hard to see past Land. No, they're still a quality side. They're still one of the best sides in the league, and I don't see many sides at all going there and winning this year. So it's probably I did pick Bridgend last week and they've let me down. So, but I'm not. No, I'm not dismissing Bridgend straight away. I think they'll actually quite enjoy the fast pitch as well because they do like to throw it about and attack from deep, and they've got some very dangerous players in that back line. So I think they won't be afraid of playing on a nice fast surface. But I just think Llandovery have got too much all round for Bridgend, and it's got to be a Llandovery 6-pointer for me. But I can see Bridgend coming away with one. I can see them scoring. Well, it could be one of two ways with Bridgend. Yeah, let's come back with 4 or 5 tries because they can, or be 1 or 2. But I'd like to think they can come away with a bonus point at least from scoring a few tries up there.
Yeah. I think it's just one of those ones, right? I think Llandovery like to go on streaks. They haven't had a 6-point win this year. Obviously, just 1 loss in 5 games. This is that sort of fixture. They kick back into gear. They go straight into it, and off they go for like another 3 months of the season. But if you want to watch it, guys, it's 7:30 kickoff. It's live at Church Bank up in Llandovery. S4C Click and YouTube will have both English and Welsh comms. John, another good round of fixtures done. Another one ahead of us. It's turning out to be all right, this SRC Malagi.
Oh, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. No, what I always used to say about the the English Premiership when I would compare it to the the URC was saying, when you'd read the fixture list to the English Premiership, it was literally, it didn't matter really who was playing who compared to the URC fixture list. It'd be like, oh, look at that game, so-and-so's playing that, that's going to be a cracker, that's going to be a cracker. It was like, 5 games and they would be thinking, oh, all of those look like bangers. And it's starting to get like that now with the SRC. I know it's our job to big it up anyway, but it really is. Like every time the fixtures, the predictions come out now, every game is a bit like that now of rubbing our hands together. Oh, that's going to be a good one, and I'm absolutely loving it. And a fair play to S4C. I think their coverage has been really good. Of course, it'd be ideal if it was on if it was Scrum 5 Live or something, but as English Championship sides would tell you, they would give anything to be having matches on free-to-air TV that everybody could watch. So, but I think the coverage they're doing is really, really good, and I think they deserve credit for that. They presenting it really well and making it feel like it's a big deal.
It is, and I feel like it's been a step up from last season as well. All the match highlights on YouTube with Welsh comms rather than the shit SRC Twitter posts that used to go out with the same music and no real detail or highlights. You've got your Tuesday night highlights
as well.
The S4C Rugby accounts on Facebook and Twitter have been really good into it. There's some really good stuff, and I think we wish there was more fixtures on terrestrial TV. I think there's 4 or 5 this season. Planning to be obviously the Newport Llandovery game at the start of the season in week 1 was one of those. But definitely the league is going in the right direction. I mean, there's something like 12 or 13,000 people had watched last week's game on YouTube alone. You know what I mean? And again, that's fantastic. That's 2 weeks running. The last 2 weeks, by the time you add the Welsh and the English comms, are pushing the 15,000 people. And that's without those who are watching actually on S4C Click.
Yeah.
Oh, you can imagine there's a few there as well. So, some healthy crowds in the grounds themselves, and the SRC is definitely on the up.
And everyone's got a smart TV now or a Fire Stick, so it's S4C Click on YouTube. It is available to everyone. You can all go and watch it. So all do, please. Saying that, I haven't watched every game this year, so it's a bit rich. But yeah, but The games are brilliant. You'll enjoy it. Go watch them.
But if you enjoy the games, you enjoy the podcast, make sure, like I said, to give us a follow, subscribe, give us the likes, get
If you
involved.
enjoy it, what's wrong with you? Thank you. We appreciate it.
But John, thanks for joining us. Thanks to everybody for listening to another hour or so of us droning on. And
Yep.
we'll be back next week with more Super Rugby Cymru coverage.
Super.